That is the weirdest intro we have, I think.
I like it. I'm going to keep making just really weird ones then.
I don't know where Clay got that from, but
It was a late Thursday night. The jazz
Yeah.
music was playing in the background. Clay was creative. The juices were flowing.
Just jam on, Kenny G.
I don't think I've ever had Kenny G playing in my house ever.
Oh, that's so smooth. That's too smooth.
Oh, you like the stuff that's all over the place. Like you really, it's about the notes they're not playing or whatever people say about jazz.
Exactly.
He's just sitting at home with his hookah, listening to Oingo Boingo, just having a great time.
What a descriptive image.
We should have an episode where we try to guess what music is on each other's phones and see what we really listen to.
That's gonna be tough. I don't really listen to a lot of music.
Oh, really?
Podcasts, maybe. So. Yeah, no, rarely. Like even when I'm going to sleep, I'll just put on a podcast that I've already listened to and let it roll.
I would guess Daniel's most listened to things are probably soundtracks.
Yes,
scores.
That makes sense.
I do have a list. I do have a soundtracks playlist. I have a playlist with a lot of anime intros, but also a lot of alternative rock from the early 2000s. So
a lot of Adele, a lot of
not a lot of Adele. Some Adele.
I have Adele. I have Adele on my phone.
Oh, I definitely have Adele on my phone.
I had to go through the list because I don't know how many of these bands are either still around or are still not, or have been canceled ever since. I don't know, like
canceled. Like what bands?
Like I think another guy from Stained, Disturbed. Also, I think.
Yeah.
I don't want to look too much into it. So, like, yeah.
You would have been like, I still want to listen to R. Kelly, so I'm just not going to read what he's done.
I was never a big R. Kelly fan, especially when that Closet multi-video thing came out. I was like,
oh yeah,
huh, something's up about this dude. There we go.
I do. Whenever Michael Jackson comes on, I'll get about a minute into the song before I finally am like, should I? And then I kind of was like, well, he had a really messed up childhood. So then I just kind of enjoy the rest of the song.
Yeah, I think Michael Jackson gets a free pass in my house. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah.
For all the just the recreation of those videos, everybody doing the Thriller dance.
Yes.
At your house play whenever you guys have a Friday night Thrillers.
Oh, there's always dancing in my house.
I just sit around with a popcorn in my house a lot, just recreating that first part of the video. All right. Well, kids don't know what we're talking about, so
yeah, let's just having a discussion amongst ourselves.
What the hell's a Thriller? It's a really good song. Go look it up. Actually, you probably heard it in the Spirit Halloween commercial. So
yeah, you see it every year on TikTok around Halloween. You're gonna see Thriller every year on TikTok around Halloween. It's the new Monster Mash.
It's a graveyard smash.
Now the kids don't know what we're talking about.
So we're gonna start the show with some very unfortunate news. This was a pretty, real world.
Unfortunate news for an unfortunate beginning, where we're starting off, a little.
Yeah. But if you can ride this out with us, we'll have a great show. You know what I'm talking about?
We're just getting warmed up here, folks.
If you just buckle up for a second. And as always, when we talk about, and it's about a few people passing that are just very relevant to like the topics we cover in the show and our fandom and stuff.
And I caught shit for posting a lot of death in chat, but these are all relevant.
I just wanted you to even us out, Clay. I can't have you hit me with 3 in a row.
It was a lot of death, and it's always just going to be the 3 and then stop. So
Hopefully,
The
hopefully
death.
that's the case.
Yeah, because one of these, it turns out, didn't happen right away. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, Gene Hackman's death might have happened like a week ago, and they just now found the bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to speculate on any of that. I'm not looking into it. Like that seems pretty macabre. So like, I was like, oh, that sucks. Like
Yeah.
So we'll leave that to other channels. I know they love that.
The true
that
crime.
stuff. Yeah. But we're gonna start with the unfortunate passing of Roberto Orsi. So this was the name was unknown, but when I started looking through the career, I was like, oh,
Yeah, he's a
like,
huge
writer,
influence.
producer. Like you've watched like a lot of television, especially like from recent years.
The
A
Abrams
lot of
Star
movies.
Trek.
That's right.
He wrote,
Yeah, the
produced
Star Trek
those.
with JJ.
But
I
Fringe was
think
my
this.
jam, and he wrote Fringe.
Yeah,
Created
he
it.
wrote Fringe, worked on Fringe as a producer. Revenge of the Fallen, the Transformers movie. Two other Star. Well, I mean, I guess maybe all the Star Trek movies with JJ.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely have seen, like, if you're a Kyle Hawaii 5-0, the new show, the remake, Sleepy Hollow.
That was a great show, that
Limitless.
first season.
Yeah,
Was he
Limitless.
sick?
That show. What's that?
Was he sick? How did he pass? Because he's
I'm
also
not sure.
relatively young.
I think
So,
he had a drinking problem
Yeah.
and had like a liver issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't look into any of these. I didn't want
You
to
just
look
know they're
into
gone.
it. They're dead. Yeah.
I just read the headline.
Well, not that. Like I said, I just didn't want to dig too far into. Which, funny enough, I mean, he was born in Mexico, which I didn't know until I started looking into this for the show, and then moved to Texas, and I think that's where he, cut his teeth doing stuff, and then ended up in all these things that you know of. So, very unfortunate, because he was, relatively young. All right, next. I want the other news, and I think this one's probably, to me, the one that hit the hardest. Michelle Trachtenberg passed away, and it's for a few reasons, right? Obviously, I grew up watching her stuff, but also she's around my age, so that just kind of reminds you, like, it can happen at any time, like,
Yeah.
So, but if you grew up a kid in the '90s, like Harriet the Spy, Pete and Pete, like if you had Nickelodeon on, you probably saw Michelle Trachtenberg on there. And then, of course, later on, I think most of us, Buffy, right?
Yeah. Bucky.
Where I remember, like, why is Buffy getting a sister? And I think people were kind of upset that she was getting a sister at first.
Yeah.
Because like it reminds me of the Simpsons joke about the Itchy and Scratchy and what's the dog
Poochie.
that they write in? Poochie, right? But she very quickly proved everyone wrong, that she was not just a character that was written in because the show. I mean, she came in on the 5th season, so a lot had already happened in Buffy. But she was great, and
so I felt bad for her because she did get a lot of, like, the actress Michelle Trachtenberg got a lot of crap from that role, because I think it was the writers trying to be clever, because that's an old TV trope to just throw in whenever a TV show is kind of getting stale, that just throw in a new cast member or a new child shows up, kind of thing. So I think they were being a little cheeky by throwing in just all of a sudden Buffy has a sister, and let's make her as annoying as possible, writing her as annoying as possible. And poor Michelle caught all that flack, where I'm like, oh, the show is doing it. It's not her. Like, she's not the one writing the thing. She's just an actor just taking a gig,
Yeah.
And then after the whole story plays out, where you see why she's there, the sister Dawn, then it kind of makes sense. But I felt that's kind of one of those weird things about fandom, is fandom doesn't have, like, it's an immediate kind of reaction kind of thing, instead of letting things play out to see where the story goes.
Yeah.
I felt bad for Michelle during that time.
We don't really have the internet back then, so like if something is kind of known throughout the fandom, it's got to be pretty strong because like it's not like an easy way to find out about it right away, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
like people were like they were writing articles about stuff like that, and I remember reading and like yeah, I mean we had the internet, it just wasn't like what it is today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
Um,
had fan sites, and that was the thing that drove a lot of the 90s was just you couldn't find like you couldn't go to like the WB and have like a whole layout of fans and stuff that you could interact with. It was usually one person who had the knowledge of how to build a forum and just was a really big fan of the show.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how a lot of comic book creators kind of like started connecting on forums long time ago. I mean, Clay's talked about being on a few of those, right?
Yeah, so like the Warren Ellis forum was like one of the earliest ones because he was an early adopter of technology, and so the Warren Ellis forums had Matt Fraction, Kelly Sue DeConnick, Chip Zdarsky. God, who else was on there? I mean, there was just like so many people that were just on there like before they were doing comics. Like I think that was even before like Kelly Sue was like translating Japanese manga. So
Yeah. So, but back to Michelle. I mean, she was in 66 episodes of Buffy, and I think her story really paid off, right? Because like
yeah,
Buffy died at the end of that season, where we discovered that she was the key, and that's how she came to be, or whatever. And we were like, "Hold on a second, you just killed Buffy! Like, what the hell?"
yeah,
I remember very vividly that scene of like Buffy running in that building and jumping into the light or whatever.
yeah,
And next season we start with seeing Buffy like in her grave, like trying to dig herself out.
yeah.
Had they already
Yeah,
moved to UPN by that point, or was that did they kill her off and move networks in the same?
I
ah,
think
that's a good
that's when
question.
they did. Is they killed her off and bring her back in the net after
Yeah,
UPN
yeah.
That's crazy.
or after
I
WB.
wish.
She was a WB show that went to.
I think she went to UPN. Yeah, she went WB to UPN.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And then of course, if you grow up, like if you went to high school in the 2000s, like Eurotrip was
Euro trip.
Eurotrip. Like Scotty
Scotty
doesn't
let us
know.
know.
Yeah. But yeah, do you guys have any other? I'm looking through her IMDb. Like I watch a lot of these TV shows where she guest starred, like House and Law and Order, and like all these other things. Do you guys have anything else that you remember, Michelle, track number from?
I just
I just
remember
remember
her
from
doing
Buffy.
from Buffy, but she did a movie called Ice Princess that I remember. I was like, oh, this is really good. Like I looked up the credits for it to see who wrote it and everything because I was like, oh, this is really good. She was really good in it because I had just watched it because she was on Buffy.
None of you guys are Gossip Girl fans.
I watched like the first handful of episodes when it first came on, but I didn't stick with it.
But I
Because
think she
Gossip
was in
Girl
the
was
later. Yeah.
because that's the same person that did the OC, right? Isn't that the same producer? So I was
Yeah,
like,
I
because I
think
love the OC, but Gossip Girl was not like it was never as funny. Like it didn't straddle the line as a comedy as much. It's all just teen
yeah.
drama stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. And I was listening to Kevin Smith earlier the week. He was talking because he knew Michelle and she worked in Cop Out. She was Bruce Willis's daughter in that movie. And they just had like this past Sunday, they had the 15-year anniversary screening at his theater in New Jersey, and Tracy Morgan was there. Morgan, yeah, I almost said Tracy Jordan. Tracy Morgan was there, and obviously that was before the news came out. So maybe it's time to rewatch the Cop Out. No, okay. It's a
It even
15th
has Bruce in it,
anniversary.
and I can't stand it. Like it's just not a good movie. And then I saw Kevin Smith do his live performance and talk about like his working with Bruce and how it just seemed demeaning. Like it was a very don't meet your heroes kind of scenario, and he had to direct his hero. And he talks about like how Bruce kind of came in and just kind of ran the show on Cop Out. So it didn't sound like a fun time for Kevin at all. So it doesn't make me really like want to revisit, even though I do love Tracy.
And that was that before or after Live Free or Die Hard?
After.
Okay, interesting. All right. Well, and one thing I am seeing, I need to go back and watch
Well,
some of these DC showcases because she was a voice, but the three that are named, like it's a voice of the barkeep, which is really like it's three different DC showcases, but she's voicing the same character. I think.
yeah.
She's a bar girl in Return of Black Adam, the Jonah Hex one, and then the short collection. So really interesting. I don't know if it's the same character or she just happened to like just do a lot of voice work for DC.
Yeah. Well, she also did Robot Chicken.
Right, right, which makes sense. When I mean she used to hang out with Seth Green, like that was kind of her. All those people
Another
were kind of
Buffy connection.
That's right.
I think everyone who was on Buffy did a voice on Robot Chicken.
Mm-hmm. And I think there is a Harriet the Spy TV, like a new show on Apple TV where she reprised. Oh no, she voiced the character.
Oh,
Recently, like in 2023. Um, so all right. Well, I mean, yeah, that one hurt. Oh, Penny and Inspector Gadget. I forgot about Inspector Gadget. No, probably for the best, but still, no, that was not
Is that
on
the
her.
live? Is that the live action
On live
Matthew
action,
Broderick?
the
Matthew
movie?
Broderick
the
one.
Matthew Broderick.
Okay, I never saw it, but
Yeah. It's probably all right. It's not that bad, I don't think. I mean, it's not the second one. I'll tell you that. How about that? And then, last but not least, Gene Hackman also passed away. I believe he was around 95.
95.
Yeah.
So
He
grew
passed
up in the
away. His wife,
70s. This
and
one hurt.
yeah, him and his wife, and I believe one of his pets passed away. So, tell me about Gene Hackman, guys. I mean, I have some stuff to talk about him as well, but
Man, he's just done iconic roles, iconic films. I mean, we're all going to default to his Lex Luthor being like one of the best portrayals because of just the fucking widescreen effect of Superman and how great he is at it. But Hoosiers is fantastic. I have one of his neo noir films, Night Moves, that I stream or that I own that I watch occasionally. That's just really great. A movie called Heist he's in with Danny DeVito that's really fucking amazing. I mean, I could just go through a lot of his films, but those are the ones like I owned or regularly rewatch.
Is he your favorite Lex Luthor? He's my favorite. I thought about this the other day, and I was like, "Is he my favorite Lex?" I think he is, which is funny because he doesn't. He did not. I don't know if he didn't want to play the role. I just heard he did not want to do anything with the bald cap. That's why he was wearing his hair. I mean, they made it look like it was a toupee kind of thing. But
Yeah.
but he was just like, I'm not doing the bald thing until the least amount of possible. So that's why he was never bald as Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
But
I mean, and Lex is so great in that film because it's like all about him until he realizes someone else is more powerful in the room, and then it's all about how can I make them work for me, and you know, and still get out of this ahead. Like he's just really good at that.
He's just so schemy and like with all respect to Michael Rosenbaum and I can't remember the who played his voice in all the Superman
Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown.
Kevin Spacey.
And Kevin Spacey.
And Jesse Eisenberg. Let's not forget.
I think I still like Gene Hackman's performance.
Yeah.
Lex the most.
And I think it is taken to an extreme that's what I love about Lex is like, no matter who is helping Lex, even though they make Otis and Miss Tessmacher look kind of like dumb, like everyone's going to be dumber than Lex. Lex is always going to think the worst of his employees because they're not as smart as him and they can't keep up with him. So it's like, I love that kind of abuse that he unleashes on them.
Yeah.
I love him in Unforgiven. God, one of those.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Birdcage. And then Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh, fuck. I can't believe I forgot that one because Shelby even said, Royal.
Yeah.
That is probably that may be his greatest performance now. Fuck, I forgot about that one.
So I got a little bit more of more like recent Hackman movies in my head. So Enemy of the State, I really
Yeah.
like him in that. With Will
More recent.
Smith.
That's like the 90s.
Well, I mean, but those are like some of it. Like he retired in 2004, right? So
Oh,
like
that's
that was
right.
kind of
That's
like
right.
towards the end of his career. Um, Runaway Jury, where he pretty much plays Lex Luthor rigging the jury
Yeah.
against poor old New Orleans Dustin Hoffman. His New Orleans accent is fantastic to hear. I love it. But I think my favorite performance, and I haven't seen, I need to go back and watch some of his other stuff, but I love The Replacements, the Keanu Reeves football movie
Yeah.
where he plays the coach. Because it felt to me so out of character for Gene Hackman, right?
Yeah.
And he's always wearing that little hat. Like, yeah, like he really channeled like some of those coaches. Like
Well, I
I don't
think that
know.
was
I
a
just
Bear
really,
Bryant hat. So I think that's the vibe he was going for.
yeah. So I love The Replacements. Like it's a movie that if it's on the TV, I'll watch it. So that's where I get a lot of my Gene Hackman. But I mean, I'm just looking at the list of his movies and like
Yeah,
a lot of
Crimson
stuff that I
Tide.
probably should watch.
Crimson
Crimson Tide is real
Tide.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conan used to have this bit because there's a scene in that movie where Gene Hackman's yelling. There's like a commander on the submarine, and his name is like Lieutenant Cobb or something like that. And there's a scene in the movie where Gene Hackman's yelling like, "Cobb, Lieutenant Cobb, what are you like?" He's yelling at Lieutenant Cobb, screaming Cobb, and then Conan would cut to a guy in a giant corn in the cob suit in like a giant corn in the cob head with like an army suit on, and he'd just be like running around the stage like I didn't know what to do, and we would just cut back and forth between those two things. It's so funny. Is that the
All right.
Oscars this weekend? Speaking of Conan O'Brien, let
It
me
is.
pivot. It's a
Yeah,
big weekend.
tomorrow. Tomorrow.
And then tonight is Elimination Chamber.
That's right.
I've got so
Conan's
much
also
TV to
hosting that.
watch. Cody's hosting both Elimination
Conan's
Chamber
also
and the
hosting the Elimination Chamber, and then The Rock will be on the Oscars. So
Oscars.
a lot of
Yeah,
cross pollination between
yeah,
WWE and the
Hollywood.
Academy.
The Academy.
So just to kind of put a button on Gene Hackman, we'll
Yeah,
just
sorry,
rewatch
Gene.
his filmography backwards and reverse. So we'll start with Welcome to Mooseport with Ray Romano and just work our way back.
Oh
So,
shit.
but yeah, it's a shame, but definitely like reminds you to like. I mean, these people leave a mark on people's lives, right? So, um, I just I like when people are celebrated after their passing. I just don't like when people like with the Gene Hackman. There's a whole other thing that I'm sure people are going to keep talking about. But
I can't wait for
but
Timothy
we're here
Chalamet to play him in the biopic.
oh my god, are you kidding me? You already know he can
Timothy
go a little-
Chalamet is Gene Hackman as Popeye Doyle in The French Connection.
when he gets to the Superman part, and then we have to have Timothy Chalamet take off the
His
ball
hair.
cap,
The
the
ball.
hair, the reveal of the ball cap. Oh, this is gonna be great. He needs to start practicing his Miss Teschmacher.
Yeah.
Just
Yes,
yelling.
Tessmacher!
I think he can get there. He can if he can channel Dylan. He can channel.
I mean, he
pretty
he
much.
compared himself to Michael Jordan last week, so he's like, I want to be that good. If you saw his acceptance speech,
Oh, okay.
that
I
was
haven't seen it for like the Critics' Choice or something.
yeah, he won a Critics' Choice Award, and he was just like, and he kind of would. I figure his acceptance speech was fine to me, but he was just like, yeah, I want to be a really good actor. He's like, I grew up watching. He's like, I want to be like the Michael Jordan of acting or whatever. He kind of compared, not necessarily compared himself, but he was like, I want to aspire to that
That's his
level
goal.
of like, yeah.
He
So I'm
started
like, that's
singing the
fair.
Pokemon song. I want to be
Yeah,
the very best that no one
yeah,
ever was.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, great.
that's all he wants. The boy has goals.
Hey, aim for the sky, baby.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. I'm here for the trip, Timmy. Let's go. Let's go. A Complete Unknown's coming to streaming very soon. So
Put him in a Marvel movie. Make
That's
him
right.
Kang.
No.
you're right. Keep him out of the Marvel movies. Bring him into a DC movie.
No.
That should be
It'll be
that should be an episode. We need to come up with a list of people who are not currently the biggest names we can think of that are not currently in either a Marvel or DC movie or a Star Wars movie, and then we could cast them in something.
No.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
That's right.
No.
Who could it be?
Nobody would have predicted. If we had done this like 2 years ago, none of us would have been Harrison Ford for Red Hulk.
That's right.
That is weird. That is weird.
Man. All right, let's move on before we get lost in the sauce here. So today's topic is going to be very interesting. So let me tease that out, and then we'll talk about the stuff we've been watching, and then we'll go get to the main topic at the bottom of the hour. If you're watching this on demand, you can check out the time codes that I painstakingly put on there after. But we're going to be talking about our favorite comic book movie adaptations that are not superheroes. We didn't really define this very well, but I was looking at the list, and I think we're all on pretty solid ground. Maybe there'll be some discussion. So stay tuned later on for a little bit of that. And let us know.
I left out documentaries.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's not an adaptation.
Well, yeah, but like Crumb is a pretty good film about Robert Crumb that goes into his comic book stuff without being.
That's a different episode, Clay.
Yeah.
That is our favorite comic book documentaries, and mine are the Pizza Hut ones.
I love the Image Revolution. I'm not gonna lie. It's very interesting. And you can watch it for free on YouTube all the time. It keeps popping up. Like it just starts auto playing after a bunch of, like whatever I'm watching. I think they know I like. I think YouTube knows I like comic books. So it's either that one or the Claremont one, the X-Men. X-Men's.
That's a great one. I love that one.
Yeah, they're both great. They're both great. I just don't want to rewatch them after every video I watch on YouTube. All right, let's talk about some of the stuff we've been watching and seeing and reading. We'll start with movies and TV. So I watched a new show on Netflix called 0 Day. It's a limited series with Robert De Niro, which it might be Robert De Niro's like first TV series that I've ever watched. I don't even know if he's ever done TV before. Like maybe in his early days, I think a lot of actors start in TV, but he's been doing it for so long that I don't even know if that was a thing when he started acting. So, and of course, I didn't have time to research it, so I'm just gonna take it as fact. I think this is his first TV series. The premise of the show: after a gigantic cyber attack on the U.S., the government forms a commission to find who did this, and they bring on Robert De Niro, who is a former president of the United States, to oversee the investigation, to prove that to the people that it's somebody that they like and not that the government's being fascist. Oh, Leonard Kim, interesting.
Whoa.
0 Day. It could have been so good. I don't fully agree with that. I think there's a lot of very interesting, like performance-wise, I think it's great. It's a great show. It gets a little convoluted with the writing. Like it starts off very grounded, like the first couple of episodes, and then it goes into like this really weird, like there's like secret government weapons and like this conspiracy. Like it really goes off the deep end, but I was entertained all the way through. I just think it got really goofy, like toward like it's only 6 episodes, which is why I was just able to run through it this week. We have a review for the first episode on the channel, and then I'll probably do a follow-up video with a little bit more detail. But yeah, if you got 6 hours and you want to just watch Robert De Niro, I think in every episode he swims a lap and then runs with his dog, because I think that's what presidents do when they retire. Well, at least they used to. I don't know what presidents will do after these last.
Is it really Robert De Niro swimming and running?
I don't know, but if it isn't, like they should have used this technology in The Irishman. But everyone's in the show, like Jesse Plemons, Regina. What is it, Clay?
Is Lizzie Kaplan playing his wife?
His daughter.
Okay, I was like going, damn, there's like a 40-year difference, and they both had the same last name.
Probably, but yeah, they have this. That's
this
really
is
funny.
An amazing cast.
Dude,
I
I'm
can't
telling
be-
you, it's like well performed. Jesse Plemons is in this, and he's great. Lizzie
Dan
Kaplan's also really good. Mhm. Dan Stevens plays this like like Ben Shapiro type of character.
a douchebag.
Uh, well, like, yeah, but like he has his YouTube channel and he's talking about the government and conspiracy and stuff like that. Like it's very heightened, but Dan Stevens is really good
Oh, he's
in the
always
show.
good.
Yeah, yeah. So I think check it out. I mean, the subject matter may be a little something that you don't want to watch right now about the government turning fascist, but you gotta know how to protect yourself. You gotta know what to do. So
See, this could have been. This could have been. Is it a Netflix show or is it AI? And I would have been like, kind of maybe sounds like AI.
this was probably a
Yeah.
little bit of both. I'm not gonna
It's
lie.
and it's also hard to watch a Netflix show when they're building the entertainment to be the second screen. Like that's the weirdest part of Netflix's entertainment direction is like, well, we're going to state things so people don't necessarily have to watch, and so they know what's going on.
But is that their fault or is that the audience's fault that we need to constantly be on our phones?
No, they should. I mean, with this cast, you shouldn't even be looking at your phone. Like,
No,
this,
I mean, I did it. I agree.
yeah, but like,
No,
I'm
I
getting
think
the
I think
vibe
that
that it's not.
it's Netflix's fault because I mean, like Apple TV out there has Severance, and I am not watching Severance, but I would imagine it is a show that you have to pay attention to,
Exactly.
That's
and
true.
and people are going nuts over it. So there is a demand for television that people need to be locked in on, and as long as it's good, they're going to stay locked in.
I would.
Um,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, that was just kind of it. I'm just like I feel like Netflix kind of has these big ambitious ideas. It seems like this seems like with all this cast. Like, and I've seen the commercials for Zero Day, and it feels like a big ambitious undertaking. I just don't trust Netflix to make good things. So when something does come out that's really good, I'm like, I have to hear about it before I
I
just
think
go jump in anything.
It gets lost in all their prestige stuff gets lost in all the content, right?
Yeah.
So it's harder.
My definition will be at this point, if you are not looking at any other screen, you're watching entertainment. If you're looking at another screen, you're just watching content. Like you
like
just
this show people are watching right now.
This is probably just content.
This is content.
Yeah. This is
content.
not that entertainment that you need to watch.
I'll tell you this though, we are aiming for entertainment.
Yeah.
We know that much. Whatever the end
We're
result
aiming
is,
for it.
Like Timmy, we are trying to be the Michael Jordan of.
Joe Rogan's not number one anymore. We're coming for his spot at number 2.
You know what? We are at least trying to be the Dennis Rodman of podcasts. I was gonna say Scottie Pippen, but he was too big of a utility player. But like, I think Rodman, like he was crazy entertaining. Like he made that team work.
Defense.
Yeah,
that's right. Only on the court. Only on the court.
I feel like right now we're at a good Steve Kerr level, like a good workhorse. We're trying, like we're really trying.
We are at
like a Luke Longley.
We are at the guy that goes shoots hoop every Saturday, in the court in the neighborhood, and still doesn't win the game. But you know what? We're trying. All right,
we're practicing.
Now, the next couple shows I only watched because they're big premieres and I wanted to do videos on them. Just because I watched the first episode of Suits LA. This is the new Stephen Amell show.
Arrow.
I've never seen Suits, but I heard it was real popular on like the. So I was like, all right, hey, listen, one for us, one for them, right? So this is the one that's for them. I guess question for you guys: have either of you like watched Suits, the original show? Okay. Mm-hmm. I've never seen it either, so I need people on the comments to tell me: does every scene in Suits also start with somebody barging into someone else's office? Because that's what happens in 90% of this show. It's just people running into somebody else's office.
Now I want an episode where somebody just locks the doors, and then every third scene is just somebody going boom, like into a door, like.
I've never seen the show, but I get the commercial with the two guys from Suits all the time. I think it's like a T-Mobile commercial. And it is so weird because I go, those two guys look a lot alike. Like I can't tell them apart sometimes. And I'm like, how do you watch this show and know the difference between these two guys? They're very, I don't know, bland. They're just white dudes in suits.
I've seen like episodes back in the day of like The Practice and Ally McBeal, and what was the spinoff that the one with William Shatner? There was also
Boston Legal.
Boston Legal. So I feel like I've seen Suits just in previous other like LA Law. I've seen episodes of that. So I feel like it's kind of in the same vein as all those other shows. So I feel like I'm good.
It's not because I watched a lot of law procedurals as well. I mean, I'm watching Matlock, best show on TV right now, probably. I'm not sure. And but Leonard Kim in the chat, he watched Suits, the original, and he tells me that the tone is very much the same. So thank you, Leonard Kim. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep watching it because I mean it's Stephen Amell. Like maybe one of these, maybe he'll shoot an arrow in one of the episodes at some point.
I hope. He's got a secret archery passion.
Boxing arrow.
I mean, they work in entertainment law, so like it would not be out of the realm of possibility that one of his clients is from a superhero movie at some point, right?
Or a comic book company, or
yeah. And there's a lot of cameos that we're gonna see, so that's
or wrestlers,
or maybe he like in the height of being in court, he'll just say, "Let me get straight to the point," and then he just holds up an arrow.
You have failed this court. All right. The other show I watched the premiere of was the Grosse Pointe Gardening Society.
This premiere right how is this?
If you like Desperate Housewives and you want it to be a little bit more murdery, you probably want to get in on this, I guess. I didn't really watch a lot of Desperate Housewives, but it was on in the background because it was right after something else I was watching, so sometimes I would just keep playing. It's just about like people in this garden club that live in this imaginary town that I can't even picture where it would be, because I don't think towns work like this in this country anymore. Where it's just such a small town, but it still has
like Grosse Pointe is up in Michigan.
Oh, okay. I don't think this is it like a rich neighborhood in Michigan? Because otherwise I don't think this works. Okay.
Yeah, it's a super rich, it's like a super affluent, like suburb to I forget what, but it's
Detroit or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. That's the only place I know in Michigan. So
yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, but is it Detroit? I don't know.
How far is this from Eminem's Mom's Spaghetti?
That's what it's mile one.
But Melissa Pomero's in the show, which is one of the reasons I wanted to check it out, because I mean she's great in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So obviously I wanted to check it out. And it's entertaining. There's a mystery, but like Desperate Housewives, there's always like a little voiceover telling you everything that's going on, which can definitely get annoying. So yeah, I don't know if I'll keep watching this one. I didn't even make a video on this one just because I ran out of time. But all right, and
if you're gonna watch anything with the name Grosse Pointe in the title, it needs to be Grosse Pointe Blank. John Cusack movie, Dan Aykroyd's in it. Such a great movie. Okay.
Minnie Driver and a great
Minnie
soundtrack.
Driver. Fantastic.
And then I had an unintended Bruce Willis double feature.
Yes.
Where one day I watched The Fifth Element because it was on, and I love The Fifth Element. Like, it's a great movie. I won't talk too much about it. What's that?
Multipass.
The one thing I noticed in this viewing was how amazing. Yeah. Okay, just real quick back to last on the Grosse Pointe. How to Get Away with Murder meets Desperate Housewife. That's a great way to describe the show.
Oh, okay, perfect.
With a little bit of Smurfs.
A little bit of Smurf. Yeah, just those Smurfs are all dead because they planted all the they do actual gardening in the show, which is very funny. But the one thing I noticed this time around watching The Fifth Element was how cool the editing is. Like they'll, like especially there's scenes where like Lilu's talking on the computer and then it cuts to Zorg because he's reacting to something, right? But it all fits. Like they make it fit. Like what do you mean cases? Or like, where's the cases? And then he cuts back to Lilu. Like, they do that so much, and it's just I can't imagine the amount of effort that has to go into editing something so it just flows smoothly like that. So I was very impressed. And then I love the sequence. They do that again with the diva singing and then cutting back to Lilu fighting in the room, right? Where the music is just kind of like it all really just works and flows into each other, like two completely separate scenes, um, flowing back and forth into each other. I just really noticed that this time going into the movie, and I love it. And then what's his name? Chris, what
Tucker.
Tucker is just firing all cylinders in this movie. It's so good.
That's
Prime-
just one of
prime
the
Chris
greatest
Tucker.
characters.
Yeah, probably between this and Rush Hour, like those are probably my two of his favorite performances. So
Do you have that opera song on your playlist?
I bet it's there somewhere. Yeah. I don't know the dance though. That should be the new Thriller. Like people just do that dance. The diva does. And then I also sat through like 3.5 hours of Armageddon because when you watch it on TV, it's got so many commercials. But man, guys, Michael Bay knew how to make a film. I'm just gonna say that.
I fucking love Armageddon. It is probably the height of Michael Bay cheese.
I agree. I think it's just like from the beginning, setting everything up. Like that dude gets hit by an asteroid, by a meteorite, he dies in the street. But the dog lives, right? Like just all the little subtle things, and then you have Billy Bob and Jason Isaacs, just like and us, and just everything, and introducing all the characters, like all the minor
the
or
drill people.
The drill team. I thought that the sequence where they have to go into the Russian space station to fuel up felt like maybe that was like that's kind of maybe a little bit of a waste. But I love the character so much of the Russian cosmonaut that I don't even mind afterwards.
Yeah,
because they just go in there to get blown up. Like nothing happens in that sequence other than they just go get blown up. So yeah, it's great. I love Armageddon.
They're like, this movie's running short. We need one more action sequence right here in the middle of it.
And maybe it was because I was watching it on network TV, and like I said, there's a lot of commercials.
Oh yeah.
So like, so like maybe skipping through that would have been.
I have the criterion of it because yes, there is a criterion of Armageddon.
As there should be, should be.
I agree.
But I feel like of the Michael Bay tropes, Armageddon encapsulates all of them. It has the American flag in the background. It has the slow motion walk. It has the camera pan around. You know, it has all those key looks of a Michael Bay film.
And it reminds you of a simpler time when like NASA was funded and stuff. So you know, just great times all around.
Because if we had Armageddon now and we had to get like a crew of people into space, we just die. It would be like a cartoon of watching, you know, the government try to organize.
And we would deserve it. Like, yeah, if Armageddon was happening now,
China would save us. It would be one of those things where we're like, oh, we're not even the main characters of this movie anymore. Hold up.
Yeah.
Is this play about us? No, it's not. It's not about you. All right, but yeah, that's all.
You're the background.
There's a lot more stuff, but these are the highlights of the week. So Clay, let's talk about. Well, I'm glad something's on your list that I see here. So what did you watch this week?
White Lotus. We got caught up on the two episodes that are out. I'm fascinated. I'm drawn in. I'm trying to figure out who my favorite people are. I'm about to watch fall apart.
It's funny because I hate Parker Posey's character, but then her son, I hate him even more.
Yes. He is the worst person, and all I can think of is is he acting or is he just a terrible person? Because it
Is
is
he just being Patrick Schwarzenegger? I don't know. I feel like he wouldn't be like that in real life. I don't know the
a
man,
cocky rich person. You don't think growing up as
but he
Arnold
was
Schwarzenegger's-
raised by Arnie. Like he's
I'm
gotta
sure
have
Arnold
some.
made him like get up and do push-ups every morning and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
He probably. I
He's not
mean,
that
he's
kid
got to
is
know a
not
little something about
spoiled.
hard work, right? Growing up with Arnold, like I'm sure he
Yeah.
taught you a little something about working hard at some point. But
Yeah, I have a
I've
feeling
never.
Arnold is not.
Have you seen the other seasons of White Lotus, Clay?
Yeah.
Like, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's fun going into this not having watched any. This
Yeah,
is my
but
first.
because it doesn't
exposure.
matter except for one story. There's one story in
Right.
there where it does matter that you saw the last 2 seasons. So that's the interesting part. But there's this because the actress that's tying that because it looks like she's gonna confront. I always call him Uncle Rico, but the actor that plays the character from last season,
Jeff.
Yeah,
I think his name is Jeff.
yeah.
No, sorry, not you, Jeff.
So that looks like that confrontation's happening early in the show. So I'm like excited because I thought, oh, well, we'll get to that at the end. But there's a lot of weird instances of like, that character, and then the Goggins character. Walter Goggins' character is looking for the owner's husband. And I'm curious as to why. And at first I thought it was his dad, but now Goggins or his character talked about his dad already. So I'm like, well, who is he to him? Why is he going after him? Is he going to kill him? And then they had dinner with Uncle Rico and his girlfriend. Like there's just weird, awesome dynamics. But I feel like this, like, I don't know where Mike White comes up with this stuff, but it feels like this is a Twilight Zone meets Fantasy Island type show. You know,
I see that. Yeah.
There's a lot of like interesting drama going on. The 3 girls who have been friends are the worst fucking people. To watch them talk about the other one anytime they're out of the room is just so petty. And you just are watching these people who are forcing this friendship. It's weird.
I can't wait till the next episode because I think we're gonna get them talking about the other girl, right? Because we've gotten 2 instances of them talking. So there's 3 friends, and I love Carrie Coon. Another reason that I wanted to really get into the show, like
when she is alone for the first time and cried, it looks you just hurt for her. Like she really pulls you in.
Jeff, imagine if us 3 are here, right? And then Clay has to leave, and then we just start talking shit about him. And then I have to step away, and then you 2 guys start talking shit about me. And then lastly, you leave, and then Clay and I start talking shit about you. Like, but like here while we are together, we try to make it seem like we're the best of friends. It's really
we've been friends since we were 9. You know that whole oh god. But yeah, Michelle Monaghan is the successful one. Well, I mean, I kind of think that the Leslie Bibb character's successful as well. But she just talks about Austin and what her husband does. But Michelle Monaghan seems like she's an actress who's well-to-do. She's remarried. She's on the right track. But I think her friends are just so jealous of her success that that's why what they're going to talk about. Yeah. Because they almost make excuses for their friends, which is really strange because it's like, well, she's trying, or like they're just not good friends at all. Like,
it all boils down to them saying, bless her heart. Like that's really what it boils down to. So
it's just so sad really to watch.
I really like it. I really like it. And I love Walton Goggins too. So
I saw the first season of White Lotus. I haven't seen the second or watched any of these third seasons. What I do enjoy about the show is that it becomes this weird like travel promotion for wherever the White Lotus is, like, because then I start seeing stories outside of like people want to start traveling to, like, that first season that was in Hawaii, like big boom for Hawaii like travel, and I keep hearing the same about this new season where people are like looking for travel deals to wherever it's supposed to be. Thailand. And I can't wait for Thailand. So I'm like waiting for like season 5 of White Lotus to be in like Missouri, someplace it's like looking for travel dollars. They're like, we will pay you max. We will, if you want to come and put a White Lotus in our town where we need travel dollars. That'd be great. Arkansas,
Oh,
White Lotus, Arkansas.
scenic St. Louis. I just want to see the montage of images that they show.
In the U.S., the only place I could think of is somewhere like Palm Springs or something like that, where it's already like a touristy destination, and they have because it's supposed to be like a wellness resort, right? So like,
Yeah.
but I feel
White
like
Lotus,
it
Finger
also
Lakes.
relies on it also relies on being trendy, like with the type of people that have the money to go to. I think
Yeah,
this
but
season,
we're gonna commercial this up. We're gonna capitalize them this television show up before all is said and done.
White Lotus
I
on
think
Lake Ray Hubbard.
that's right. I
It's
think the
what all the
monkeys did
people in
it.
Rockwall would want and make it feel like it's like a kind of a white trash hangout.
White Lotus Bismarck went.
Bismarck.
Kim. But my big theory
And
for
I would
this
love
season
it.
is, that the monkeys did it. So
I
we'll see.
I think. Oh, you think the monkeys are the ones that are shooting the gun that in the
I don't
first
know.
episode?
I don't
Yeah,
know,
because
but that'd be real funny.
it starts off with this like it's really weird in these times that you would start a show with gunshots like that there's a mass shooting in an open place, and especially where people are trying to meditate. But I think there's going to be a twist to it, and I feel like the monkeys are going to get a hold of a gun, and those are the gunshots we get in the first episode.
The monkeys can read the sign that says "session in progress. Please be quiet."
Yeah.
So.
But I do love Parker Posey, and everything about her character is annoying, but she is the best thing on the show. I love to hear her talk. Like when Leslie Big came up to her and said, "Hey, I don't know if you remember, like we spent a weekend together and everything." She is just so fucking cold to her. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like just with silence, she's just fucking mean and evil. Oh, yeah. It's so good.
All right. What else, Clay?
Old movie I've talked about before, but I don't think you've ever watched it, Daniel. Drop Dead Gorgeous. Oh my gosh. So. You've got to see this. You've got to watch this movie. This is a movie, I believe it's from 1999. It's an ensemble cast of a young Amy Adams, Kirsten Dunst, Brittany Murphy, are all contestants for a beauty pageant. And so it's a mockumentary of beauty pageants and what these girls go through. And the pageant's run by Kirstie Alley, and her daughter is in the pageant, and suddenly people start dying off that are in this pageant, and who's killing them. But it's all comedy. It's all hilarious. And even 26 years later, I still laughed my ass off last night because it is just one of the best comedies. It's very underrated.
I don't know. I've seen Miss Congeniality, so the bar's pretty high.
No, like Allison Janney in this destroys. She's so fucking funny. Ellen Barkin is kind of this white trash mom. Like I'll give away one of the gags that just made me laugh all last night. Is she blows up in her trailer park, and she's always drinking beer, so her beer can fuses to her hand, and they don't remove it. They just put a cast around her hand with the beer can in it still, so she's carrying it the rest of the movie. Like it's just funny gags and shit like that. But that's it. Yeah,
right.
I haven't really been watching much of anything else, or just I've been doing Marvel rewatches.
Gotcha. All right, Jeff.
Yeah, watching wise. So I did a little bit of I did some rewatching of some old, just in preparation for this episode. I watched Ghost World because I know there's going to be a debate later on, and I wanted to be caught up. I haven't seen Ghost World since basically when it came out. I do own it on DVD, but I ended up just streaming it on whatever I ended up streaming it on. I also watched Road to Perdition, Tom Hanks movie, also a comic book, non-superhero comic book movie. You know what? I really, this is a movie that it's very weird to me because it's a very slow movie. It's very boring in the first half. But it's got this cast that I'm just like, it's Tom Hanks, Paul Newman, Jude Law, and what's his name? James Bond.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel
Timothy
Craig.
Dalton.
Timothy Dalton. Daniel Craig doing a weird accent. It's not quite his Knives Out
Is he doing
character,
his? He's not doing his LeBlanc.
it's a proto LeBlanc kind of thing. Yeah.
There's been a murder.
Beautifully shot. Like I don't know if it's because it was a graphic novel first or whatever, but some of those scenes are just gorgeous. I feel like it's a little miscast. I have a hard time. Tom Hanks plays a mob enforcer.
Yeah,
so
that's the hard.
And I can't.
It's one of the rare villain roles.
Yeah, but it's kind of like John Wick, but instead of like the dog dying, it's his wife and other kids. So and he has
Oh
to
my
go
God.
get revenge. Yeah.
Instead of the dog, it's his family.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Well, that was a cute puppy though. So yeah, but it's a pretty good movie. Other than that, I just watched my normal stuff. My Matlock, caught up on Matlock. I tried to catch up on Mythic Quest, but my Apple was glitching last night, so I couldn't get it to pull up. I found this YouTube channel that streams old episodes of like stuff from G4, just like here's 11 hours of random G4 that I recorded or whatever. And so I've been watching all that lately because I love G4. G4 for me is peak cable television. Yep.
X-Play.
Exactly. X-Play. Cheat.
Before it was all Ninja Warrior.
Attack on the Show.
All heroes and Attack. All heroes and
Screensavers before Attack of the Show.
If they could have dialed down like the horniness level of G4 by like 30%.
It was
gamers, calm down your horniness.
Yeah, just calm it down.
It was on Spike TV. It was required to be at least 70% horny.
Well, see, I think that's why because I was like, I feel like G4 was peaking right as nerd culture was starting to really blow up.
Yeah.
And then whoever was the, super executives above G4, whatever, whoever owns the network was like, oh, all these young dudes are watching this one channel. And their G4 was obviously playing into like, let's just keep putting sexy girls on. So they just took all the nerd stuff away and they were just like, here's all the sexy girls. And I was just like, you pulled out the rug out from under the nerds just as the nerd stuff was peaking. Like they could have totally.
What was the thing at the end of the Men Show? Girls jumping on trampolines.
Girls jumping on trampolines. Yeah, I'm just like, ugh. I mean, I enjoy it, but also I'm just like, let's be civilized.
Hey, and now in 2025, Olivia Munn is one of the women of the year from Time. So
yeah, good job.
We've come a long way from that. Yeah, she was one of the women of the year.
Why?
I haven't looked into all the nominees.
She was really big into like she had breast cancer and she's really open about that. And she's like an advocate for like getting yourself checked and stuff like.
But there's a lot.
I mean, there's about
like 10 people. There's like 10 people in the list. So, but I haven't gone through everyone's bona fides. I'll check them before. I'll check what they do before I announce them next time, Clay.
She cleaned up John Mulaney.
Just to make sure they meet the standard of Next Issue podcast.
Did she clean up John Mulaney or did she steal John Mulaney?
Listen, we got the hot dog and heroin skit out of it, so.
We got the hot dog and heroin skit. That was a pretty good skit.
Yep. All right, Jeff, you want to roll right into comics?
Let's roll right into comics. I have not had a chance to read. First off, my comic shop is still having the delivery issues with Diamond stuff, so no Marvel again this week. The two I have not read fully. I started reading this. This is Batman: The Long Halloween. The last Halloween issue number, whatever this is, 3, 4, 5, 5. But I picked this. Well, I'm reading it anyway, but it's got Sienkiewicz artwork on the inside. It's a Sienkiewicz issue. So I was like, I'm gonna pick this up anyway. I've not read Seasons number 2 yet, but I'm going to enjoy the first issue. Books that I have read. This new Superman. 23. Love the Dan Mora artwork.
I recently caught up with that Timekeeper story or whatever, and it's really interesting. And I like that we're leaving it hanging for like the summer. Like, we're gonna take a little
Yeah.
break, but come back.
This newest Detective Comics. What is this?
Oh, so
1094. Yeah, this is a great series. Like Tom Taylor is really he's asking so all your questions about Batman that you kind of are like, but Batman wouldn't work in real life because XYZ or whatever. And Tom Taylor's kind of digging into all these little things. This is this and other things. Like this issue deals with like the prison system, the private prison system and how corrupt it is and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's digging in all kinds of little things. I'm really enjoying
I
it.
love this part where he's taking the kid to the hospital and he's like, "Oh yeah, me and my friends talk about you all the time, but we're not scared of you, Batman." Now, granted, this kid's like injured and he's delirious and stuff, but he's like, and Batman asks him why. I think we talked about this last week, Jeff. But
Yeah.
the kid replies, "Is like, well, because you're from Gotham, you're ours." So like the citizens, not everyone fears Batman, right? They're just like they kind of claim him as one of their own. So that was very cool. I really like that from Tom Taylor.
I also,
He knows.
well, and you compare this to what what's his name is doing over in Batman and Robin.
Mhm. Joshua Williamson.
Is it Joshua Williamson? Yeah.
Is this-
Or Johnson. Anyway, either way, he has that. Batman has a conversation with Red Hood about the what they call the Harvey moment. Like I feel it's interesting when Batman gets a reflection of himself, and he's like, "Oh, this is how people see me," kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they're talking about in the other book. They're talking about Red Hood is talking to Batman about how all the Robins have this moment where they're like forced to think about whether they want to continue to be a Robin or a superhero or whatever.
Yep.
And Batman is like, I had no idea you guys had this whole thing outside of me, kind of thing. So it's fun to watch Bruce get himself reflected.
Reality check,
To
Bruce.
himself. Yeah. This is awesome. Canary, best of the best, number 4. Ryan Sook's artwork is just so good in it. I can't get enough of it.
I can't wait till that's done so I can go back and read all of it at once.
Absolute Wonder Woman number 5. Fantastic book. Hayden Sherman's artwork so great. I love this version of Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm. The end of the first arc.
Into the first arc. Justice League number 4. This is just like an action-packed, straight action movie.
More artwork. I don't know how he turns in all those pages.
He's the current day Jack Kirby. He just does it. He gets it done.
He's great. He's just drawing all day.
Yeah, that's what I've read so far this week.
Okay, well, hopefully you get your Marvel stuff soon, because Red Hulk number 1, Benjamin Percy. This is really cool. It's a Doom. It's a One World Under Doom tie-in, but I don't know if the series is going to continue after that. So Thunderbolt Ross is a prisoner of Doom because Doom has set up a think tank because he's not ruling the world. So he needs people and advisors, but obviously he's not gonna take them willingly. So yeah, this one's very, very cool. Ultimate Spider-Man number 14, just Jonathan Hickman, Marco Cicchetto. The hunt continues. It's really cool. Like this is I'll just show you this. The Kraven the Hunter.
Ooh.
Oh, so good.
Spidey blow up issue. What else did I read? These are all just things I picked up. What else did I read? Oh, TMNT number 7. The Turtles have to relocate to New Jersey because New York hates them.
Ugh, gross. New Jersey.
New Jersey. I don't know if that's cool that we talk about that skit. That was probably one of the ones that I think they called back, right? I also read, and I'm sad that Josh isn't here. I read Fantastic Four number 29. And I feel like he's one of the ones that would have read it. I read it because it's a tie-in to the One World Under Doom. But like he's talked about this whole series, like you could just jump into pretty much any issue. Like they are not super continuous. really interesting because they bring up some stuff from after Blood Hunt. Like, there's a bunch of vampires that are daywalkers, but they still need blood to survive. So like, people are being bigots now towards vampires because they're like, well, fuck you, you try to kill us, like, you don't deserve to live. But not all those people chose to be vampires, right? A bunch of them were just churned by magic. So
Yeah.
it's like they didn't have a choice in it. So like, so the Fantastic Four and She-Hulk kind of stand up for them. So it's very, and Ryan North can very subtly like make a really good point without rubbing it in your face or whatever. Very similar. I think him and Mark Russell have a very good way of like making it a fun, entertaining story while still being able to like get their message across of like, by the way, you don't have to be a dick, so, or whatever
Put little
the
morals in
alternative.
there.
Yeah, exactly. Morality tales. It's almost as if these new comics of nowadays are kind of like fables from back
I
in
don't
the
know.
old days. What was the name? What's the name of the? Was it Epoch? Epoch? I don't know his name in English.
Tupac.
Yeah, Tupac. Tupac Shakur. That's right. Thank you, sir. Going through changes. Oh, I wasn't sure if Jeff was
Very
laughing
good.
or
Very good.
coughing.
That was very good. It was a little bit of both. It was a little bit of both.
Okay. It's when that you get to that place in your life where a big laugh elicits other bodily reactions,
Yeah,
right? That you're not
exactly.
prepared for. Yeah. Uh, I do worry sometimes that I'll be driving and listening to a podcast that I'll laugh too hard and just kind of like lose control or something. Like,
Like we
I'll get
lose
into
control. Oh,
yeah.
How did he
who
go?
is
He was
that?
listening to How Did This Get Made?
Yeah, who is that funny that you're gonna cause a collision with?
I listen to a lot of funny. Sometimes I listen to my own stuff. I don't know. I'm pretty funny.
How'd you wreck your car? I was just laughing at my own joke.
I made it real funny on this podcast. Yeah.
Do you guys want to hear it?
Share, like, and subscribe. This is some really cool stuff too. Just let me show you real quick. This is a Power Rangers Dan Mora variant. I just picked it up because it looked cool.
Yeah, it does.
I don't even know what this book is. Power Rangers Prime #4, I guess. I'm not reading that though. I do want to read this. This is from Mad Cave Poptail.
Yes, that is an amazing cover.
Yeah, that looks cool.
Yes. Sozo Micah is the artist. I think I met her the other day because she lives here now. Oh no, this is Dave Johnson. Sozo Micah already also has a cover. Also I picked up this just because of the cover. I'm not reading this yet. But
That's a great series.
This is a Phil Noto cover, so I was always gonna pick that up. They reprinted Daredevil just in time for the show next week. So I mean, what am I not gonna pick up a facsimile?
Did they not have a Chromium #1 cover for you?
If they did, I did not see it. If they did, it was gone. We have a new Epithets of the Abyss, which I can't wait to read. I love this book. And I picked up a couple of issues of the Women of Marvel. There was 2. Today kicks off
Peach Momoko.
Yeah. I mean, both the covers are good, but I had to pick up the Peach. Today kicks off Women's Month, if I'm not mistaken. That's in March, right? Does that happen in March? Is that still the case?
I
thought we celebrated women all year long, but if you just limit yourself to March,
Yeah, but this is the one where they get a highlight and all the promotions. Maybe a little discount at the coffee shop or something.
A little discount at the coffee shop.
Hello, Darkness.
Ooh,
fuck.
So good. That is the best cover.
Yeah, and then I picked up Ultimate X-Men. I still need to catch up on this series. I do love that they do this thing where they just put the cover without the text in the first page or like in the back, so you can actually see it. That's really nice. They're only doing it for the Ultimate books though, so that may be like a thing. And then I picked up some shiny covers that I didn't have.
Shiny.
This is Justice League. And then what is this? Justice League, I think it's another. I think this is the first Justice League. I don't know.
Whoa, wraparound.
They got this like really nice texture as well. So it's not just the foil. This is the type of shiny that doesn't like my fingerprint won't be seared into it if I touch it once.
Oh yeah, I hate
This
those.
is the good. This is the good stuff. So
Feel like you have to get the Windex out and wipe off the cover to get it
yeah.
back to normal.
The old what's that thing you used to clean the metal? I forget what it's called.
Arbor All?
Yeah, there you go. The armor all. Shine it up real nice. All right, Clay. Why don't you tell us what you've been reading? I need to step away for a second, but tell us what you've been reading, and then we'll come back and do our main show. I'll be right back.
All right. Continuing on with the Jason Aaron Wolverine and the X-Men. These two just really got so much better in the first volume. I love the first two volumes. These there is a story in issue 13. Did you read these when these came out?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you remember the Warbird origin story that's told in this, where she's like really young, and you see like as she's kind of taught the Shi'ar way, and she grows into an adult, she like really loved to draw as a child, and then lost that ability because she had been practicing being Warbird forever. That's probably the best story in the whole thing, other than any scene with Brew in it, who I'm just becoming a big fan of. Like
Brew is great in that series.
Yeah, I love Brew, and it's like I want to see more Brew. And then I went and looked up some of the digital comics that I had that I hadn't read yet, and he shows up in Agents of Wakanda from like 10 years ago. So it was a digital bundle, I guess I bought, that I'd never read the books for. So I was going through Agents of Wakanda, and Brew shows up in that with like Gorilla Man trying to help solve a problem in space, and so then I'm like, who the hell am I reading? I'm like, Jim Zub. I'm like, okay, I love him because he seems to be just do a variety of books. He's kind of he comes across to be like a Bill Mantlo. Like you find him in a little bit of everything, and it's always a great read when you pick it up. Well,
Jim Zub. Yeah, somebody I would be like, oh yeah, I've read books by him. I couldn't tell you which ones, but I know I've seen his name on books.
Yeah, because I did that with Bill Mantlo for the longest time. I'd be like, oh, whenever I'd read like a random issue, I go, this was really good. Who wrote this? And I'd go like, oh, him. And I'm getting that with Jim Zub too, because it's like I don't follow him, as a writer for all his books, but I picked up stuff he's done, and it kind of sticks with me. So maybe I should start picking up, what he does regularly. But his Agents of Wakanda seems like he has the best concept of just like, it's almost like a D&D party. Like he just has this group of weird agents that include Brew, who shows up, Man-Wolf, Okoye, Wasp. It's just the weirdest group of people, but he throws them in stories that really make it work, and then has great titles because like in the issue 4, there's a 2-issue arc called God Love Moon Kills. Like they have this whole issue with the moon, and of course Man-Wolf's involved and everything. Like it's just a fun bazaar of a collection of weirdos. Like that's kind of what I love about this run. But yeah, those are the only 2 things I've been reading, and so now I got to hunt down the last 4 volumes of this Wolverine and the X-Men because I don't have those. Man, I'm looking forward to it. Like, I just love Jason Aaron's work, and the art on this is so consistent and great. Just between Nick Bradshaw and Chris Bachalo. So it kind of goes back and forth between them, and it's always good. It's so goddamn good. Those are pretty much the only 2 things I've been reading. But one thing that I will say, Jeff's opinion on the new Spider-Man book, the Joe Kelly McGinnis one. I have a pull list at my comic shop that just pulls Scotty Young covers. Scotty Young did covers for every one of those books. And I now am like going, I don't think I'm going to read it just based on your review because you were just so harsh about it. And now I'm like thinking I may not buy Scotty Young covers anymore because they kind of abused by putting him on all those. It sold all those Spider-Man books that obviously Joe and Ed weren't going to do together. So it's like, what did you say? They did the first 2, and then there was another team on the next, and then they came back, and then there's another team on the next two, because it's an 8-issue arc, right?
It's more. So there's I don't know how many issues there have been. So they do. So Ed McGuinness and Joe Kelly do the first 2 issues together. I think Joe Kelly continues. Ed McGuinness is off by the 3rd issue. And then by the 4th issue, they're both gone. They're both gone for a couple of issues.
Yeah.
They start adding point issues in between so there's 2 point issues now. And then Joe Kelly came back to write 1 issue, like smack in the middle. So it's been Irene, I can't remember her name. And then so he came back for 1 issue to write it, then went away again. I don't know what the difference is. I feel like at that point you're just filling in word bubbles, like the true Marvel method, kind of. And I think Ed McGuinness is eventually going to come back in like an issue or 2 or something. I canceled it at my shop because I was just like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I think this has kind of motivated me to maybe stop buying singles. Like I've been able to, get books from Half Price Books and stuff randomly, but like I think the only monthly books I may buy going forward will be like the Gail Simone X-Men and Moon Knight, and that's pretty much it, because like I hate that I got all these covers for this book that you obviously said like is just terrible, and it's like I kind of want to dip my toes into it, but I don't want to waste my time because I have 8 issues of a book because they all have Scotty Young covers, and then as I went through them, I was kind of bummed out because it was kind of rehash of his old work. So I was like, well, I could have just bought a trade, I could have bought a trade I just enjoyed that had everything in it. And I think I'm going to pivot to that I may just start collecting trades instead of singles.
Now the story may read fine as a trade, and it's not like it's an okay story, like beat wise and stuff. Like it's kind of just it's a fine base hit for a Spider-Man story, I think, overall.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I'm reading it and I'm like, well, it's not what I was promised creative team wise. But B, it's also like I feel like they knew going into it that this was going to be a filler story gap because they were going to eventually relaunch the title. And I'm like, those are the things where I'm like, I love it when we're like, we've got a story gap. Let's do something so crazy with it. Let's get creative. Let's get screwy with it. Let's knock it out of the park. And it feels like, well, this was just like, let's just get through it kind of thing. It's kind of what it feels like. And it's not the worst storyline. Like there's way worse Spider-Mans out there, but it's just so mid-level disappointing, I guess. It's like when you watch something that's like, oh, this could have been good on Netflix. Like you could have had something really special here, but no, you chose to go a different route.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at in my head in comics right now. It's like it's almost easier to hunt down trades than buy brand new single issues at $5 a pop when you can get like 3 issues in and you already have a new creative team. So
yeah. It's
plus,
also
it looks
weird
better on the bookshelf.
It's weird because it seems like most companies, like when they're like, we have a story arc, it's gonna be 5 issues. Like that seems to be the mandate for for the trades.
Yeah.
Because you can put 5 issues in a trade and whatever. So
and
when you have something
4.
like, oh really? So God, so talk about shrinkflation. But so it's weird to me when you get a story like this where they're just like, just keep drawing it out, like whatever. And I'm sure it's because they teased it like as this Joe Casey and McGuinness thing. So those numbers, I'm sure, shot through the roof for the first 2 issues. And then they were like, and kind of like what they did with Hickman on the X-Men run, where they were like, oh, we're making money, keep going. Like, let's just drag this thing out, maybe. Maybe that's something that happened. I don't know. But it was just kind of overall.
Yeah, because I think even with Hickman stuff, I'm just going to wait for like the collection. I mean, it just makes no sense to read him month to month when his story is really built for a book.
Yeah.
I mean, not even like a trade, but like an omnibus level.
There are certain writers where I'm like, oh, Rom V reads way better in trade than he does.
Yeah. So
I think Daniel Warren Johnson reads better in trade than he does month to month.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, the thing I loved with his Transformers one was he seemed to always have like a great Transformer kill or death in each issue, and he could really kind of hook you at the end. So that book was exciting every time, though.
That Transformer book, though, to me, like it feels like it's a binge book, kind of, sort of. Whereas, so like some trades, I think you read because they just the overall arching story reads better if you just get to read it all in one thing. But with the Transformers, it's so high octane, and then like some of the people, I've heard some people like there's so much happening. I think it's easier if you're just reading it all in one thing, because then you can kind of remember. It's easier to remember 25 minutes ago than it is, 25 days ago, kind of thing.
Yeah. All right.
Nice. All right. Well, let's go on to our main part of the show, where we're going to be going through some of our favorite comic adaptations in movies that are not superhero movies.
No capes and tights.
That's right. And we don't really define the line too much there, but as we kind of go through these, we'll see what's up. Clay, why don't we start with you, and we'll just kind of go around, do one of each, and then just keep going until we run out of time.
I didn't put these really in any order, but like one of my top favorites is Scott Pilgrim. It's just a great film. Edgar Wright's my favorite director. Everything he pulled from the page that he put on the screen just improved. It made everything better. Like he has Bill Hader just doing voiceovers because he does the video game voices. Like there's just so much fun in that. And plus it's so neat to look at a young Hollywood in that film that like they didn't know how much fucking talent they had in that film, and it just blew up. I've even heard that there are still text groups of the actors that are worked on Scott Pilgrim together. So,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, you've got your Chris Evans, you've got like imagine trying to put that ensemble together now and make that movie. But they even did the TV show, so that's still pretty amazing accomplishment. So, Scott Pilgrim, Edgar Wright, perfect match.
It would be a Marvel movie if they got that cast together. I mean,
fuck yeah,
kind of is.
Yeah. Do you want me to go through all of mine or just do one?
No, we'll just do one at a time each. Okay. So I like Scott Pilgrim a lot as well. Although I've never read the comic, so all I know is just the movie.
Yeah.
Because the comic is pretty long. I think it's a few volumes, if I'm not mistaken.
It's 6. Shelby has, I believe, 6 volumes. Yeah. The hardback.
So, but I enjoy the film a lot. I mean, it was peak. Like when I was growing up, I was like, oh, this is just very cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So yeah, I didn't put it on my list, but I saw you had it on there. It's like, all right, we'll talk about it. Cool. Jeff, why don't you go? I mean, thoughts on Scott Pilgrim, and then if not, then you can give us your first.
It almost made my list, but I saw it on Clay, so I was like, well, Clay can talk about it. I do think Scott Pilgrim is great. It's super stylized to match the comic, but that works in Edgar Wright's favor because it's that kind of frenetic, comic style. Scott himself as a character, maybe a bit problematic, but again, all those characters, that's not, that's what's his name's fault, not anybody in the movie. But yeah, great cast. I get Clay, you're right, that cast is amazing. It's a real fun movie to watch. I really enjoy it. Yeah. My first movie, I kind of stretched he's not really a superhero. I don't know if he started off as a comic strip, but Dick Tracy is probably one of my favorite non-superhero comic strip movies. Written, directed by Warren Beatty, coming off the heels of very extremely stylized, kind of coming off the heels of 1989's Batman. So it's a little darker, but it's but it's also extremely colorful. So it's a weird kind of juxtaposition. You've got all those speaking of great actors, you've got all those great actors completely covered in prosthetics to play these ridiculous Dick Tracy villains, caricatures of mobsters. I think Dick Tracy's a fantastic movie, just color wise, a lot of cantilever angles, also really trying to make it look like the comic and stuff like that. Great, I love it.
Yeah, De Niro's Mumbles is probably my favorite one in there. I'm trying to remember some of the other characters, but I just remember his makeup is so good, but his voice is even better because it distracts you because he's doing the mumbles thing, and you forget like all the fixtures and shit that's on his face.
Yeah,
I mean, it was wild. The 90s were weird because it's like suddenly they started to get into comics, but it was all like comics from the 30s and 40s. So it was all pulp comics. We got Rocketeer, The Shadow, and Dick Tracy, and Dick Tracy was the one that had just the most color in it. It was like really cool looking, and
yeah,
and they had. I just remember they had spent so much money promoting it. It was at McDonald's. You had Dick Tracy everywhere. And I think this was because it was like right after Batman. People thought, oh, well, comics are the thing. They just didn't go to superhero comics.
yeah. They made a weird kind of half pivot.
Nice. Well, I've never seen that.
Oh,
Yeah, Dick Tracy Blind Spot. Also, Jeff immediately stretching the rules of this by putting in a comic strip.
yeah.
Agreed.
It was even my pitch, so I immediately like to break my own rules.
Yeah. Well, my first one is gonna be 300. I mean, come on, you got to start
How do
big.
you not?
Yeah.
Directed by Zack Snyder, based on the graphic novel by Frank Miller.
Yes.
That movie just looks so freaking cool. Like, and if you ever go, so this is one of those comics that if you've never seen the actual comic, like, it is like ultra wide. Like, it's a very interesting format for a comic book. So even there, the comic itself was already kind of like standing out from the other stuff that was being made. I mean, this is probably one of Frank Miller's, maybe arguably some of his best stuff. We may hear Frank Miller's name again today, but I just really love it. I love the visuals, the violence that's portrayed. Like, obviously we have Gerard Butler like taking on the role of Leonidas and just being one of the coolest characters ever on screen. And yeah, it's just even Xerxes, like just the way that he's shot and his performance and the way that the character is almost like a godlike figure, right? Yeah, it's very, very cool. I love 300.
Yeah.
And of course they give us that really cool "this is Sparta" meme where, kicking the messenger into the hole. Lena Headey as the queen. Like,
Oh,
this
wow.
movie
So
this movie
good.
has everything. So yeah, 300 is my on there for me.
Yeah. For me, 300, because like I have the Steelbook over here. It's the images lifted off the page perfectly, but even in the close-ups of stuff, like when they go to the wall that's just made out of dead soldiers and you
Oh
see
yeah.
that close, yeah, like that kind of stuff, I'm like, oh, that attention to detail, that just that's what I dig about 300.
And
I've never seen it, so no, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna go, whoa.
I just wanted to have a Daniel reaction to something.
hey, listen, this movie's not that old, all right?
How old is
I like 300. It's a very
From 2006.
wild ride. Wild ride. Also, kind of about bullying if you really dig into it.
Yeah, but who's the bully?
I mean, that's the real question.
Everyone's a bully. It's actually the movie where everyone's a bully.
Everyone's
In
a
some
bully.
I thought this is just a
Really,
movie
really,
where
it's
everyone
just like Ghost World. 300 is exactly like Ghost World is, I think, was what you're saying.
Well, that's a good segue into the next one for Clay.
Yes, because Ghost World is like one of my favorites. I reread it, rewatched it recently. The fact that oh my gosh, the author was able to help adapt that into the screenplay makes a huge difference because it really shows that these weren't really standalone stories, that they could be weaved together. He had intentions for Enid and Rebecca, but the story is just about two zillennials. I'll say this because they do give their birth date in the movie, and so it's right at that time of the late 90s when people were kind of cynical, didn't really like where things were. You're going to see a lot of films like Fight Club and stuff come out like that. You had characters like Daria as a good example, I think, who is very closely related to Enid in her sensibilities. They just don't like society as they see it. And that's what I think Enid in the book is more apt to be the person that grows up. And Rebecca seems to be the person who kind of is never going to leave home. And in the movie, they've taken that as there are two characters who define that point in a coming of age film where one grows up and one moves forward. And I feel like Enid in the film dies because what's not in the comic, but what is in the film is a line that she says, if my dad gets back together with her, I'll kill myself. And right before the scene where she leaves on the bus, her dad comes in and says, oh, we're back together. So that's why I've always felt like Enid dies in the movie, but doesn't die in the comic. But then Shelby sent me an article about Ghost World that said that both the Terry Zwigoff and the writer both thought it was a positive, that she was moving forward and that she was moving on with her life because that's what she always wished she could do. So it's like Ghost World has all these different areas that you can debate. And I know Daniel's not a fan just because of the characters. He says they're miserable, but that was the tone of the time, I feel like, for characters that age.
Yeah, rewatching it this week, I was like, "Oh, this is a very Gen X-y movie because all the characters." Because Enid's thing was like Enid's Thora Birch, right? That's her. Yeah. So her thing is just like she's seeing all these people grow up and move into the next chapter of their lives, but for her, like that is such a boring thing that like the only way to succeed in society is to kind of sell out a little bit, which is a very Gen X kind of thing to believe.
Yeah.
And she just never is able to make that adjustment. And she is a very annoying character. I would not put up with being her friend. I'd be like, oh no, you are too toxic for me. Like you are all about yourself.
Yeah, they're both very toxic. It's interesting as they go back and forth because they both have things that they enjoy and like, but they don't want to share it with the other one. It seems like, like her tape collection that she gets from the guy who's like a really kind of right-wing crazy nut guy, but like in the movie they show her like dancing to this Indian video that she had gotten because she kind of loves the music and she wants more. But in the book, it's the videos she's getting from them are not as inspiring. I think there were more conspiracy type stuff. But yeah, Ghost World is a perfect snapshot of the late 90s. And the author used those two girls as kind of his, sounding board. He said he wanted to use those girls to kind of comment on things. And Ghost World is a story about these two girls and their coming of age as they get out of high school, but it's also about the change of the world at the time and how like they go to these restaurants that are kind of like cheesy and stuff and mock them and everything because everything was kind of becoming a copy of everything like you see now. Like every city has basically the same stores, the same restaurants. You got a Chili's, you got a Applebee's, you got all this just same kind of shit. And nothing's real different or innovative or amazing. And so it's funny to see them comment on it as early as that. But it's also that as they grow up, you miss that. You miss that time. So there's a bit of pre-nostalgia to it, if that makes sense. But I could rattle on. I could do a whole show talking about Ghost World. So
I will say, though, no ghost in the movie.
No ghost at all.
No ghost.
Felt like a letdown. The biggest letdown, really. So yeah, no, I mean I talked about how I don't really enjoy this movie, but I think which is weird because like if this is I don't know. I was that age in the late 90s and I don't know. Maybe it's just something that I also don't relate to. Because because I was in a different place. So
Yeah,
it's
I mean, and it could be the different place and time. You know, like to me, like I really resonated with Fight Club. You know, because it was just it told a tale of that time and where I was at working corporate life and how soul sucking and demeaning, and you were looking for purpose kind of film.
and we all just wanted to listen to Meatloaf.
That's all we wanted.
Or beat the shit out of an angel, Jared Leto.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got to step away, guys.
Alrighty. Well, Jeff, why don't you go into your next one?
Well, I'll steal it from Clay since he stepped away. But I saw this on his list as well. But I really love the movie Josie and the Pussycats.
Yeah.
I think that movie is ahead of its time. That movie never gets the credit. To this day, I don't think it gets the credit it deserves. But it is full on like this is what commercialism does to your entertainment. All of it is, it's a nice discussion between what is manufactured and what is real. I think the performances from Rachel Lee Cook and I can't remember the other
Rosario
one's name.
Dawson,
Rosario
Terry,
Dawson. Yeah, Parker Posey, Alan Cumming. They're all great. They have a fun. The boys from Du Jour are all super funny. Like it's really funny. I think it's really the two directors were like brand new directors. I think they were like music directors, maybe music video directors or something. So you can kind of see that in the filmmaking. But I love the music. The music is mostly produced by Babyface. I think some of the songs are written by Babyface. I own the album somewhere floating around here.
Oh, I bet there's a really cool vinyl for that movie.
There is. Hold on. Here it is right here. I have the Mondo album.
Yes. And the cast is just so perfect. Like when you picture the comics.
Yeah.
And obviously this is based on the Archie comics, right?
It comes with a tiny Du Jour single.
Oh, that's funny. That's perfect. Yeah, I love that movie too. I think this movie and Spice World were always on TV at the time. When I was growing up. But I mean, Josie and the Pussycats is just fun, right? It's just like a whole lot of fun. Like that's what this movie's going for. It was also at the I love it. I love the color of the vinyl. It's also at the time where like these manufactured bands were kind of. I mean, there was reality shows about making the band, right?
Yeah.
And the way that people kind of embrace. I remember the marketing. I mean, that's when I was watching MTV like almost every day. You know, like catching TRL and all those things, and like these like they would show up like in their Josie and the Pussycat outfits and like it was really just it was a cultural moment, I feel. So I love that movie as well.
And I love that I know this is not great visual podcasting, me putting a record back into the record sleeve, but I enjoy Carson Daly from MTV is also in the movie. I distracted myself. I don't even remember what I was going to say there. But, so Josie and the Pussycats, great comic book adaptation without superheroes.
All right, I'll skip a few because I think probably want to talk about. They're also on Clay's list, so I'll just talk about them together. Snowpiercer from 2013. This is by Bong Joon-ho, whose Mickey 17 is coming out in a couple of weeks, and I'm very excited for.
Oh yeah.
Based on the graphic novel Les Transperciennes, which I can only assume is like the transport or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Like it's a really cool idea of like this train and the apocalypse where everything is dead and the rich people live in the front with all the amenities and then the poor people live all the way in the back, surviving on these like nutrient bars that we eventually find out what they're made of. But yeah, Chris Evans, I think, is great in it. Like he really there's a monologue that he has in the movie that really like it's pretty shocking, and I love the moment where they're like their guns are empty. Like that whole moment where they finally rise, and also how they have to prepare to kind of like storm a train that just kind of keeps going forward, right? Like they have to
Yeah.
adapt to that. Ed Harris is like the big bad guy in
Oh,
this,
that's right.
and he's just great. I was looking when I was looking for stuff for the show. Um, there's a trivia fact here that Harvey Weinstein wanted to cut like 20 minutes of this film, and Bong Joon Ho just like he just refused. Like he wasn't gonna release it in the U.S. if they didn't make
Oh,
the
really?
changes, and the director just refused. Like there was some kind of compromise, but there was only a limited release in the U.S., which is I didn't watch this till way later, like on
Yeah, I
DVD or
think I saw it
Blu-ray,
on DVD. I didn't see it in the on theaters.
which is a crime because we could have known about Bong Joon-ho's movies way earlier. At least I could have, because this is from
Well,
2013, and I don't. I mean, I don't remember hearing anything about this director till way later. I think it
put it
was
back in the
Train to
theaters.
Busan.
I mean, he's in
Yeah,
jail now. Put it back in theaters.
that's right. Um, yeah, this should be one of the movies that they just kind of like the Alamo should bring back and re-release or something. Hey Clay, we're
Yeah.
talking Snowpiercer.
Oh, that's a dark one.
Yeah, and we went over Josie and the Pussycats. I don't know if you have anything you want to chime in on that.
Yeah, because I had that on my list, and I think
Yep,
it's
yep.
a very fun and weird film. It's not exactly what you expect, and we were trying. We were at Half Price Books yesterday, and I picked it up because I don't own it. It was like in clearance, and I said, "Shelby, let's pick this up." She goes, "I'm pretty sure we can stream it." We were going to try to
Okay.
watch it last night. It is not streaming anywhere. So
I bet
yeah,
it's stuck in some rights issues. I bet because a lot of those movies from that time, like you would think they'd be streaming, and then you look and they're not, and it's probably because they're caught up in like a
music.
weird, like a studio did one thing and a production company did it. So like, who's got the streaming service? Yeah. It's
I have
hoax.
a list on my keep on my phone of like movies that I try to go. I'm like, oh, I want to see if this is streaming on one of the 15 freaking sites that I can get to.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then it goes on the list for me to buy it if I really
Yeah,
want
and
it
then you
enough. Because
close
then I'm
down
just
my
like,
blockbuster. So like, where am I supposed to watch this? You give me no other option than to go to the take to the high seas.
I did show off Clay while you were gone, and I'll do it really quickly. Is that I did buy the Mondo Josie and the Pussycats album.
Oh, that's
And it is
awesome.
available.
What a snapshot of the culture there that Jeff has. Like at that time. Amazing. All right. But yeah, Snowpiercer is fantastic. I haven't seen the TV show.
Yeah.
Only because I feel like the movie's so good. Like I would only be disappointed by them just making it longer and maybe
Yeah.
bringing in storylines of stuff that I don't care. But it looks good. I mean, for
Do
a
you-
TNT show, especially.
Do you like human suffering in Snowpiercer? We made it longer. So
So yeah. But recommended. Highly recommend Snowpiercer. All right, Clay, let's go to your next one.
Dredd. This is the best Judge Dredd. This is the only Judge Dredd. We don't recognize.
I'll be right back, guys.
All right.
Go for it.
I think this portrayal of Dredd is the best. It is the most accurate out of the comic. And then to add, oh my gosh, what's her name? Headley that plays
Lena Headey.
Yeah, that plays the villain in this.
Mama.
Just fucking makes it 10 times better. And you basically have a video game movie. You've got Judge Dredd going into a closed down building that's like a superstructure for the poor, essentially, and then working his way each level up, and the whole building is working for Ma and out to kill him or just get the fuck out of the way because there's just going to be blood and bullets everywhere. Dredd is fantastic. The slow-mo is fantastic. Those
visuals of the drugs, like,
yes.
Oh my god. So I was looking into that. Apparently these effects were filmed at like 4,000 frames per second to achieve like that. That is insane. Like that amount of frames per second is crazy. But yeah, you get this like dreamlike quality of, I don't know. It looks great. Like the way when Ma falls off the window or out the window.
Yes.
I think my other favorite moment is I mean Carl Urban's fantastic. So like when he goes incendiary round and he just puts it in that guy's mouth. And dude just,
Yes.
yeah, it's great. I love Dread. I'm very sad that we have never seen a sequel to it.
Yeah, it was so fucking good. I couldn't believe we couldn't get a sequel. And then even with the fans calling for a sequel, there was like talk of it, and it couldn't get any further. But Dread is amazing.
Yeah, Sylvester Stallone's awesome.
All right,
I'm glad I'm back.
Real Dread doesn't take off his helmet. Can you imagine how small your ego has to be for you to be like, oh, that's fine. I won't take off the helmet. I'll just chin act the whole movie.
Hey, that's more than Mando has.
That's right. All right, let's go to your next one, Jeff.
Clay, I'm gonna steal another one from you, but we can, now that you're here, we can talk about it together. Red is a fantastic movie. It's so fun to watch. Another Bruce Willis movie. Bruce Willis makes a lot of appearances in today's show. I love that cast is so fun. John Malkovich, what's his name?
Helen
Mirren.
Morgan Freeman?
Yeah,
no. Morgan Freeman, the voice of God.
That's who I was trying to think. And then who's the love interest from Weeds?
Oh gosh,
three names.
Yeah.
Mary something, Mary something. Anyway, that movie is it's so fun. It's so entertaining. Mary Louise Parker. Thank you. She's so beautiful too. Yeah, just a bunch of old CIA operatives, government spooks that come out of retirement because of some old government secret. Yeah, just a real fun movie. The second one, not still fun, not as good, but the first one I really enjoy. The first Red is so good.
I left the theater during Red 2. Like, that's how much I did not like Red 2. I was like, this is so bad, I can't watch anymore. But like, I do love the original Red. I have a Bruce Willis triple play of comic book movies that aren't superheroes. So Red is in that list, Unbreakable and Sin City. But Red, I love. It's based on a 3-issue mini by Warren Ellis and Cully Hamner of just them trying to kill a retired hitman who has too much knowledge. And they fully formed it into this film that's amazing. But buy the DVD. On the DVD, there's a commentary track by a former CIA agent about all the things that Bruce Willis does in the movies, and he talks about what he does and doesn't and how they're similar. That's one of the coolest things. I've loved Red. It looks cool as hell. It has a great cast. But even adding a commentary by a CIA agent is really awesome.
This is why I need to go back and revisit all my DVDs just for the commentaries, because we don't get enough commentaries in today's world.
John Carpenter's commentaries are the best when he is doing them with Kurt Russell. Because it's just two dads hanging out and talking, and it's real funny because it's almost like they're watching the movie and they get interrupted at times. So they go, "Oh, remember that guy? That guy's awesome!" You know, they're great to listen to.
I hear Wicked's gonna have a real nice commentary with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Just throwing that out there.
Oh yeah.
But as far as Red, so I don't have a lot. I mean, I've watched both movies. I will say the second one I watched for free because we tried to get into like an early screening, like an early fan preview of the Wolverine back in 2013. So we were at like the Cinemark in Plano, and we were in line, but we were too far back, so they didn't let us in. But we were already inside the theater, so we're like, well, let's just watch whatever's already playing, and it was Red 2, so we snuck into to watch Red 2.
So all you wasted was your time.
I mean, I had already spent like 3 hours at the theater there in line to get into the Wolverine movie. So like, It was a whole day thing. I was there with a bunch of friends, so like we were just like, oh well, let's not waste the trip. We're already at the movie theater, and we already made the trip all the way out to Plano.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think the red one, the first one's fun. I think John Malkovich is kind of like the secret sauce in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because he's so weird. And Helen Mirren, I love her character in that one too, so good.
Oh, Brian
Okay.
Cox is in it too. Brian Cox plays a
Yep.
great role.
Richard
Great.
Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss. Great ensemble.
All right. Whose was this? Jeff. So
Yeah.
my next movie is red, but maybe younger people. I'm going to talk about The Losers, which is very much the same movie, or at least the same premise. But I love The
Oh,
Losers. I
so
was
far
surprised
from it. So far. You can't say that. No.
Well, I mean,
The
it's a disavowed
Losers.
team that has to clear their name, right? That's kind of overall the premise of Red, right?
Okay, yeah. Well, he's retired. He really just has that knowledge, and so they're trying to get rid of the knowledge. Is the
That's
premise?
yeah. So
Yeah,
But vibes
but,
vibes are the same. Ensemble
Yeah.
cast that is
yeah,
yeah. Okay, I see it now. But I guess going from a 3-issue mini by Warren Ellis to Andy Diggle and Jock doing one of the
Yeah.
best takes of The Losers ever. That I think it ran for like 29 or 30 issues.
yep, something like that. But this was great. Like this is, I mean, the cast is fantastic. I really love, like, you have Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Zoe Saldana, Chris Evans, like everyone's in there. Like those characters are very much archetypes of their character, but they're like really well performed. And Idris Elba is also in the. I believe he's the one that betrays them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he's Rogue.
But I really like it. I don't think this director is going to do like a bunch of other stuff that I can point out. Sylvian White, which is interesting because I thought this movie was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And as I was looking,
it came out when there was these same kind of movies. A-Team came out and The Expendables.
A-Team.
And A-Team is just fucking terrible. But yeah, The Loser should have rose to the top because it had the most original story, and I feel better action than both other films.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I would put this up against any of those any day. Especially, I think people will look at it more fondly now because it's like, oh, Chris Evans is in this, and I love him in Marvel movies. So like, like his character is really fun too. Like,
when he goes into the building and he's like, I'm gonna kill you with my mind. Yeah. Just cool. It is very stylized and cool. The action is great. The only problem with it is they weren't able to really flesh out the villain from paper to film as much, because on paper there's a character named Max, and essentially the idea is there will always be a Max, a guy who is wrecking the government for self-benefit or to create war or to tumble empires or whatever, just generally a bad guy.
And the worst part is that there was a sequel plan, but because the book is very long, right? But the movie is pretty open-ended at the end. So like definitely we would have gotten to see, like, same as Constantine. Like if those movies had performed better in the box office, we would have gotten sequels for both of those, because those are prime material to kind of keep making more movies.
And Losers is one of my all-time faves because it's got that great team up with Diggle and Jock, who are fucking fantastic. He has a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. The covers are amazing because Jock does every cover. Like
you see a lot of Jock art in the movie as well. I think like there's little insert cards of the characters that are. He manages to find a cool middle ground between his original design and like the actor playing the character.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very good at that because he does a lot of posters for Mondo and like a lot of design. So like that's kind of right up his alley to do stuff like that.
One of my biggest quested items is there's a British steelbook of The Losers that's Jock art of the actors on the cover.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I've been on the hunt for that for the longest time and haven't been able to find it.
I think I might have seen that in his shop at some point, but yeah. Because he puts this up all the time. All right. Let's go, Clay. Let's go to your next one.
Okay. Now, you said comics. I'm including manga because I have an obsession with Old Boy. Old
Sure.
Boy is one of my, and I'm going to include both films. I'm going to include the Spike Lee one, which I will say is good. Yeah, I did watch it. I did like it. I was surprised. But the original, the original South Korean Old Boy is just the best revenge film of all time. It's so twisted and dark. I'd never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything close to it since. I obsessed on it enough that I collected all the manga, read that, which has like slight variations that show up in the American version that Spike Lee did of Old Boy that has Elizabeth Olsen and Josh Brolin in it. And the ending is different, but it works and it's a lot closer to the manga. So respect to Spike Lee for staying closer to the book. It works just as well. But Old Boy, yeah, like it's not your typical comic book movie.
Nice. Yeah, I've only seen the American version because I think we were trying to do something with the original one that never happened, so I never got around to it. But I do like it.
I think
Jeff,
on your
have you
life
seen?
server.
Yeah, I know. I had it ready because we were gonna do something with it, and then just never
Oh my God,
happened.
I want you to watch it and come back and tell me what you think.
Jeff, what about you? You like the Old Boys?
The Old Boys are okay. I've seen both of them once, and I enjoyed them for their action. The Spike Lee one, that ending, it's something that I would definitely watch the first one again for the action sequences, but it doesn't really stand out. Like I enjoy it, I appreciate it, but for me, it's not a
It's got
personal
its
favorite.
own hallway fight.
Yeah, it's got its own hallway fight. Yeah, and I will revisit the hallway fight. I just don't know if it's one of my. I'm going to go back and revisit over and over and over again.
Nice.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
We're running a little long, but I want to hit some of the other ones you guys have on the list. So let's keep going. Jeff, what's next?
I already talked about my last one, The Road to Perdition, earlier in the show. You know, beautifully shot, little weird, little miscast. I have some ones that I want to honorable mention, but I feel like I already stretched the definition of what my own show enough. I was going to add The Rocketeer, but that's I feel like that's pretty superhero adjacent for it to be a non-superhero comic book movie. The same with The Crow. Crow is pretty pretty adjacent to being a superhero. He's more of a vengeance tale than a superhero. But
yeah, I feel like those are pulp, like very close to like. I thought about not putting Dread on this because I felt like that was very close to superhero, but I don't know, movie's so good.
What's his superpower? He's got a gun and the law.
The law. I feel like I got away with it once with Dick Tracy. I didn't want to push it twice. Men in Black. I love Men in Black. Also,
Here comes the Men in Black.
One of those things you don't think about it being a comic book first, but super fun movie.
Because it's so different from the comics. Too.
Yeah.
Also, Addams Family, to go back to the comic strip. Addams Family, great. Annie, I love the Annie musical, the original with Carol Burnett.
It's a hard knock life.
Yeah.
Fly, I guess.
Yeah, I wrote out just about every non-superhero comic book movie I could think of. And all my favorite out of all of them, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I knew it. That's funny. They re-released the How Did This Get Made episode of that, and it just made me want to watch the movie more because I can't believe that it's that bad. Like it just in my head, it doesn't feel like it was that bad when I watched it. But I mean, then again, I watched it a long time ago.
I tell you, I've apologized to people I've taken to the movies for two films. One was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and the other was Green Lantern. Like I just had to, I just said, I am sorry. I will pay you back for the ticket for this movie. This was terrible.
You couldn't know. You couldn't know.
Yeah.
30 Days of Night was another one that I really
I've got that on my list. I have like a list of movies, ones that I owned that I didn't put on here, like 30 Days of Nights, The Losers, Hellboy, and Akira.
I thought about Hellboy as well, but I was like, I feel like that feels superhero comic. Like
it feels superhero, even though it's not.
I do want to mention Sin City.
Sin
Like
City I own, yeah.
I mean, that was in the same vein of the 300 era. Like it was around the same time, right? Sin City happening.
Sin
Yeah.
City.
And it's just like, I mean, the fact that actually it's before 300. The fact that Robert Rodriguez, like, he wouldn't direct it without Frank Miller,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
was the original creator of the comic, is great. And it's just the look of the film. Like, what's the name of the
Talk
character
about
that what's his name? Play
Harvey.
No,
Elijah
the
Wood.
main Brewster guy that's always got the little. Like, he's got all
Oh,
the wounds.
There's
Anyway,
something.
Mickey Rourke's character. That's what I was thinking of, but it doesn't matter. Like, I just love that anytime there's something like white on screen, how it feels like it's from a different film. Like it's so far removed from the look of the film, and it's so cool. Elijah Wood, like his role in that,
wow, so
Oh
good.
yeah, he's so good.
odd.
Talk
Of
about
course,
great use of Elijah Wood's eyes. Like,
in 2005, like I was primed to see Jessica Alba do do that character. Um,
also
and then
Rosario Dawson again.
Rosario Dawson too. Like, I mean, everyone in Rosario Dawson's gang, right? Like, they're all, oh, my goodness. Yeah, that especially at that age. And Clive Owen is something that really feels very interesting, as to kind of make him like the one of the main guys. Like, it's him and Bruce Willis, right? That are like
Yeah.
the two, and I guess, and Mickey Rourke in his story. Um, but yeah, and then, like I said, Bruce Willis, it just it almost feels like only he could have played that role.
Well, I mean,
So,
he brings so much to it, playing cops pretty much his whole life in film and stuff, to play this like beaten cop
mhm,
who's trying to save one person.
yeah,
It's just great. He's played those types before, so he's just bringing all that luggage to this role.
Yeah.
American
And
Splendor.
I was gonna ask why neither of you guys put that on your list. I feel like that would be right up y'all's alley with
I
Ghost
put
World.
that in the same arena as Crumb. It's kind of a biopic, but his bio is
But that
his
was an actual comic,
comics.
though,
Yeah,
right?
so it's
I just
Yeah.
thought it was when with the depressing Ghost World stuff. That kind
Yeah,
of.
I've never seen it, so I don't know. But I know about it. I know that Paul Giamatti is in it.
We've also
oh,
got
it's gold.
Nimona and Persepolis, because I thought about animated ones as well.
Yeah,
Persepolis is beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
and Nimona is just so much fun.
Nimona is very fun.
So, all right, do you guys have anything else on your list? I need to watch two. There's two movies that I want to watch from everything we talked about, but I'll let Clay. If you have anything else?
Well, I was like looking through my list and I go, oh, yeah, well, we had The Shadow, but he was kind of a superhero. Wanted, they were superheroes turned to terror or turned to assassins in the film.
Wanted.
No,
Yeah.
You also
I
have
saw
the
you
Phantom and Flash Gordon.
Yeah, I saw you put Unbreakable on the thing, and I was like, that's not based on a comic.
But it's a comic book movie.
I don't know. I feel like that was really stretching the line, because it's not adapted from anything, right?
True, but if you take the idea of comic books or the premise of it, you could put it in that comic book world, because it also dissects comics in a way where it talks about like how the colors affect who the heroes and the villains are. And then you have real heroes that appear within it. I can't recommend the films after it, because I don't feel like except
Split, I think, still very
Split
good.
is the best one, but yeah,
Glass,
like I don't.
is probably not.
Glass is not very good, because that's pretty much the end point of Bruce Willis trying to act, and a lot of scenes he's just there, and it's very sad because he's not doing anything, and it just looks like he's lost. So
yeah. But the two movies I want to watch after this are Road to Perdition, because I've never seen that, and also when I was looking, this was on everyone's list, but I don't know if anybody's seen it. History of Violence.
I have the book and I've seen the movie. I mean, it's good, but it's not one I want to revisit.
I'm not a big Cronenberg guy, but I feel like that's very different from his normal Cronenberg stuff.
Yeah, you're not going to get
I might actually be able to get through it.
There are some pretty brutal fight scenes in that movie, though.
Yeah.
I did want to watch it this week, but it's not. Again, it's one of those ones that I couldn't find streaming on anything. And I was really
We're going to
upset about
start
it.
to see more and more of that as we go on, and it's going to be physical.
I was
media.
kind of hoping that I'd find something that I didn't know about. Most of these I've either seen or I at least heard of. Like Here, when Here came out, and Josh was like, "Oh, this is based off of," like I had no idea that was based.
Oh,
so
I had a really good time with that movie. So whenever it's on streaming,
really?
You guys should check it out.
Here.
It's very interesting, and I love seeing Robin Wright and Tom Hanks act together. Like it takes you back.
I was kind of hoping there was some like indie version of Blankets floating around out there somewhere that I didn't know about or something, but no.
No such Blankets. No, I think we're too plugged in to miss anything like that.
Yeah. I was going to watch Wilson, which is a Dan Clowes comic, and I never got around to it. That was one I missed this week. So
I was really hoping that was a sequel to Castaway, where we follow Wilson out in the ocean and he gets a whole second arc.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten an adaptation of The Sculptor. Do you remember that comic that we
read? Yes. And I remember enjoying it until the end. I didn't like the ending.
Yeah,
that's
a
good question.
Could change that.
Like, is there one that you would like to see adapted? I know we're running long, but let me throw out this thing to make us running long.
No, my answer is no. We don't have time for this. Everything that's been adapted has been perfect.
Stay tuned next week for our answers to this. Will be the cliffhanger. What you want to see.
Clay's gonna give us one. I like that Clay just looks at himself.
Pride of Baghdad.
Oh, that'd be good.
Oh yeah. Wait, Sheriff of Baghdad?
No, Pride of Baghdad, where the animals after the bombings are.
Okay. You know what?
Yeah.
The Brian K.
Sheriff. You're thinking of Sheriff of Babylon?
My choice is Sheriff of Babylon, the Tom King, Mitch Gerads book,
which I haven't read yet.
It's good stuff. All right, stay tuned for next week for Jeff's answer of his own question.
Yeah, I'll think about it all week long.
Yeah. All right, well, there you have it. Those are some of our favorite media, or some of our favorite comic book adaptations, except for Unbreakable.
Non-superhero.
I know, and that was probably the most superhero-y movie out of everything we talked about too. So Kelly just said, "I see your rules, and I refuse to follow."
And I break them.
Batman is my favorite non-superhero.
Yeah, I know, right?
But even there's no big cinematic fight in Unbreakable. There's no big, it's superheroes, but it's not. I feel like it's not.
There's that pool scene.
Bruce Willis versus the pool.
The pool cover. The pool cover is trying to drown him.
I mean, I guess it is cool that his son tries to shoot him.
that is wild. That is the best scene in that whole movie, because you've got Robin Wright, the kid, and Bruce Willis, and it's just, is he going to shoot him? Like, we've seen The Extraordinary. Maybe he's going to shoot him.
I love when he tests his just how much he can bench to.
Oh,
him and adding, just finding more stuff to try to lift.
Paint buckets.
It's a good movie.
Oh, it's so good.
Shyamalan really knows how to make a movie, guys. Let me go rewatch Trap on HBO.
I still haven't watched that.
You know what y'all should watch? The War for Rohirrim. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, it's now in streaming on Max.
When you watch Dick Tracy, I will watch War for Rohirrim.
I'm good. I don't need to. I don't need you to watch it that bad. I got so much other shit to watch. I need to find 3.5 hours to watch The Brutalist.
Hey,
before tomorrow night.
Take 90 minutes and watch Drop Dead Gorgeous and have a laugh.
We'll see. We'll probably just slot in a history of violence.
No, the Brutalist will make you laugh more. I'm pretty sure.
Adrian Brody. When has Adrian Brody not been hilarious in a movie?
Exactly. That guy, so funny.
Feels like The Brutalist is like the spiritual sequel to The Pianist. I don't know if you guys have seen that. With just the themes of it, but I hope it's not as sad as The Pianist, because, man, That movie.
Yeah,
One of those that you appreciate the art, but I don't think you ever want to revisit. So, all right. Anyways, there you go. What a roller coaster of a show. Emotional highs, emotional lows, and everything in between. So, all right. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you all next week.
The most important thing in life will always be
Hell, Bebo.
Twitter loves you.
Simon Center, get the fuck out.